Today I have a few different things to update you on for Palantir. We're going to talk about Ark Invest, other institutional ownership, Alex Karp being very generous with his wealth, and more. So kicking things off with Ark Invest, of course, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but I just wanted to highlight the fact that, of course, Ark Invest has been buying considerably a lot, and this has come right after the Q2 earnings report. I think they were very enthused with what Shyam Sankar and the management team had to deliver in that report. But we'll see buying in all of their funds. I believe only second stock to get added to all of Ark Invest funds. This is not the new news that I wanted to share. The new news, however, right now they have 36.769 million shares times a share price of $24 gets you $882.5 million, which is 88% of $1 billion. So Ark Invest is nearing $1 billion invested in Palantir stock, a huge milestone. Now, why is that important? Well, you'll recall when Ark Invest first started buying Palantir stock back around when the price was $10. I've been covering Palantir stock on the channel here since day one of its direct listing, or should I say day zero, because I made a video before the direct offering. They were buying, and Ark Invest has a minimum hurdle rate of return of 2x. So they were buying here at around $10. So I was saying their price target is thus a minimum of $20 per share, and they do a 5-year prediction. They do not share publicly for all stocks. They do share publicly for Tesla, which I believe their expected case for Tesla is $3,000. Tesla is around $600, so that would be a 5x. Ark Invest unfortunately does not share those sorts of things for Palantir, so we have to read into it a little bit more. But when the growth stocks were crashing, right around in May and before that, when there was a rotation out of growth, Cathie Wood got on and said, since the growth stocks have fallen off so much, we no longer expect a 2x, we actually expect a 3x over the next 5 years. So down here around 20, when she was saying that, a 3x from 20 would be $60 per share that she expects a minimum for Palantir. Of course, a million things could go wrong, and that is not guaranteed to happen by any means. But then, if we continue that line of thinking over here, $24 she's still buying. She's buying heavily, and I'll show you that how much she has bought recently. But if she again expects 3x growth as a minimum over the next 5 years, and growth stocks, you'll have to realize, have not recovered considerably. Look, Palantir was down around 18 and now it's up around 24. That's not a considerable rebound considering it was up 28, 29, and then we had the spikes over here. So if Cathie Wood still expects a 3x from 24 is $72 a share. So just if you wanted an idea of what Ark Invest is thinking, personally, I think they're expecting even more than a 3x considering how much they are buying. Of course, they'll sell some here and there. Look, Cathie Wood perfectly timed the market, mainly because she triggered a sell-off, but regardless, is nearing $1 billion of ownership of Palantir stock because Cathie Wood, the chief investment officer, believes that Palantir stock is going to be or close to $100 in 5 years. So 5 years from now, 2026, greater than 2x, closer to 3x or more. And I believe that is what Ark Invest is thinking. That's just me reading into their buying here. But let's take a look at how Palantir is fitting into Ark Invest Holdings. So Tesla, of course, on top, Teladoc, another one they're extraordinarily bullish on. Coinbase, they've loaded up huge on. I believe that's more because they can't entirely get access to crypto. I don't believe they can just buy it on their own. Unity, a lot of these I haven't looked considerably into, but Shopify I know is huge. Roku, Zoom, Twilio, and then Palantir slotting it at number 9. It is top 10 now. Top 10 holdings, you'll see 2.5% of Ark Invest is, and yeah, I switched this over to combined, so all combined is Palantir of everything. So you'll see here under 3%, under 3%, over 3, over 3, over 3, over 3. So if Palantir gets bumped up even farther, they could easily surpass Zoom and Twilio. Slot in at number 7 here, and then if they keep going over 3, over 3, over 3, over 3, they could become the 3rd largest holding in combined holdings from Ark Invest. I don't think that is that far out of the question. We'll call it maybe $1.5 billion. Ark buys, let's say, $650 more million in Palantir, which, yes, granted, is a tremendous amount. That would actually put it as the 3rd largest holding. Not out of the question, in my opinion, but considering the enormous buying more recently, I think Palantir stock would have to decline significantly for Ark to buy a lot more, at least now, or maybe they'll wait for the next earnings report to be proven correct again about the strength of the business. But anyways, that's just what I'm thinking about Ark Invest right now. So now let's kick it on over to the institutional holdings. So institutional holdings have gone crazy more recently. Ownership of up to 26%. You'll remember we've looked at this all year so far. It was under 20 significantly a few months back. Now, I believe this is an all-time high for the institutional ownership. Now, what does that mean? Well, basically, big money is putting big dollars behind Palantir, and they believe Palantir, even in today's market, is a great place to be invested. So you'll see a lot more increased positions than decreased ones. So let's just look at the top three here. Of course, Ark Invest is in the top three. Then we have BlackRock, which I haven't been covering as much because it's harder to get graphs and such as with Ark Invest that I was just showing you. But BlackRock, over $1 billion in Palantir. And Vanguard, on the other hand, has over $2 billion in Palantir. But look at that change in percentage. BlackRock going heavy, so heavy into Palantir stock. So much fewer selling out than buying in. Always good to see. So how can the stock go down or stay flat while these institutions are buying in? Well, that's a good question. Not one that I can entirely answer, but I'd say it's probably a mix of other selling. Be that insider selling that we've covered a billion times, or retailers getting out of the stock, being scared by the volatility, or realizing it's not for them and they don't want to wait, or believing there's no way they can understand the business. There are a whole myriad of things that may cause a retail investor to exit a position in Palantir, and that would, of course, have an effect on the stock. We have seen significant buying from the institutional side, and let's just say that the stock has been held down by the insider selling, just as an example. We'll head on over to insider selling. So I believe that the insider selling perhaps has been actually counteracted by the institutional buying, and perhaps why that downward force is getting pushed on by institutional buying, and maybe why we've seen Palantir stock normalize and not move as much, stay flat, and hold in this holding pattern. So we've seen automatic sell, 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 option execute, sell, 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 some buys in there. I think that's just for options. So much selling, of course. The thing is, institutional buyers are buying more than ever. They are not even concerned at all, it appears, with this insider selling that has been covered a billion times by everyone. Yet, retail investors see a headline and get nervous, see if their stock's under fire. Well, I need to get out. The CEO, CFO, COO, they're selling shares. Peter Thiel is selling shares. Should I get out? And eventually they do. But institutions are buying big, some of the biggest ones out there, and Ark Invest being one of the most successful in recent times. So I think this is a huge sign for Palantir. The more institutions that buy in, the more eyes that will be on Palantir. And lastly, I just wanted to touch on this story that you may or may not have encountered, which was Alex Karp making a $200,000 donation. And at first you may think this is completely random, but it's really not. He's actually solving a direct need, helping someone in need. He's not just giving money out randomly. So I think this really demonstrates his generosity. He's not just some billionaire wanting to make money only for himself and keep it only to himself. So I just wanted to make sure you had seen that and heard my take on it as a huge positive in this story that I'm sure we will see so much more from Alex Karp, from others that have successfully benefited from Palantir's own success, and everyone else that I believe can make a positive impact. So I just wanted to touch on that, make sure you were aware of it. Not the biggest news, but definitely a positive sign nonetheless. So I hope this recap was helpful. We talked Ark Invest, my most updated thoughts on what they're thinking, what they're doing, institutional buying, and this last thing with the generosity of Alex Karp. Until next time.